Yeah, this customer reached out to us from Marlborough, Massachusetts, and what was probably a 1960s era, 1970s era house with a pretty standard normal foundation crack turned into a massive issue for this particular homeowner. We often tell people, it doesn't matter if the crack leaks or not because there will be damage that occurs to this thing through the freeze thaw cycles during the wintertime. It's exposed to the soil. It will get in there. Water will get in there. It may not make its way all the way through the concrete, but it will freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw, and it tends to get this twisting motion or opening motion of the concrete wall. In this particular customer's case, he had a house that he's the original owner of, and that wall crack had been just kind of a normal-looking settling crack from day one, and it was basically something that he never had to worry about because he just kept putting hydraulic cement on there and never had any sort of water coming through. Well, as he's kind of thinking about selling the home, he comes through and says, well, this is a big issue because now it's going to be becoming an issue for buyers and for banks. And so what happens in this particular case is that on the far side of the wall, there's basically no tying. It's the end of the foundation, probably for an old garage area. And then on the front side where the crack is, there was a full crack that went all the way through. And the soil pressure, they had a large tree on the other side, so the roots actually pressed on this wall and caused it to tip inward almost 2.5 inches. Now, that's an extreme example, but a lot of times you'll see this extreme case represent in smaller cases on houses that have long time cracks that just are left untreated. So it's not just about that cracks are leaking, it also causes structural damage if they're left totally unchecked. And slapping hydraulic cement on the crack is not a repair, it's just a patch, and it doesn't prevent that pressure from causing that wall to kind of tip inward. So really in this case, it's about binding it back together, creating a monolithic slab again, and creating any resistance towards that push in or that freeze thaw cycle on the outside. So what was probably an easily avoidable issue right after it happened within the first 15 to 20 years, now is actually a big project and is going to cost him, orders of magnitude anywhere from 10 to 15 times more than it would be to just repair the crack. So, even if it's not leaking, it's definitely something that you want to get ahead of earlier because the repairs in the early stages are far less expensive, far less invasive, and are more permanent than trying to cut it out and replace a section of the foundation. So this just goes to show you in this particular case, left unchecked, it's an extreme example, but we really have a huge section of foundation to replace. Most times we can take care of these well in advance and never have this issue represent.